Good afternoon, gentlemen. Today we will be looking at how to isolate return factors with principal component analysis. Another way of saying that is you might have a portfolio of stocks and you want to figure out what elements in the market are affecting the returns on that portfolio. Now, principal component analysis won't identify specifically what those market wins are, but you can use it to isolate the component. What's the word? You can use it to isolate the component importance or the component element for affects your portfolio. So hopefully it makes more sense as we get into it. Basically, we're going to import the data. We're going to use sklearn decomposition PCA. I've got a list of tech stocks here, and these are some gold stocks. And we're going to just get that data here. We're just going to go for the 20. Let's make it a little bit more up to date. And you'll see we have our head, we have our adjusted close for our stocks. We just need the adjusted close, so let's grab that and we'll calculate the returns as the percentage change over each one. Now we initialize the principal component analysis. We're just going to look at 3 components within the portfolio that are being affected. So we'll run that. We've set it to 3. And we're going to fit it to our portfolio returns. This must be a new feature. When I ran through this notebook, I wrote this notebook a while back. Actually, this notebook is taken from a good blog that I follow on Twitter called PyQuant News. Definitely give him a look. He's definitely worth checking out. So we then return so within PCA, they have a class called explain variance ratio for each component. We're just going to capture that into a variable. We're also just going to get each component within the components feature to get the influence of each one. And we can plot this. We're going to use the cumulative percentage change or the cumulative sum. And we're going to arrange it, and then we're going to plot it. So I might have to zoom out here a little bit. Oh, no, I don't. Okay, great. So the graph on the left is showing how each component within the analysis, how each one, its contribution to the returns, the adjusted returns, right? And graph 2 is the cumulative contribution in a percentage. So it makes sense, right? If you start stacking these on top of each other, you get this graph here. So clearly the first component contributes the most to the first and the second play the greatest contribution to our timeline here of our portfolio returns. So another way of thinking about this is we can multiply the returns by components and transpose them into a data frame. So don't get too hung up on this here, but we're just taking our returns as an array, and then we're applying the PCA components transposed into a factors returns, and then we're putting that into a data frame, and this is what it'll look like. So we have the components on we have basically the component factors into our data frame here, and we can plot those components for each stock. And then we can sort the values by bar. So this is for our first factor. And you can see how the first factor affects the adjusted returns for each stock in our portfolio. So you can see the first factor affects Microsoft the least, affects GFI the most. And another way we can look at this is plotting the relationship between 2 factors. So we're gonna plot in a scatter the relationship between the first analysis and the second component. And you can see that Tesla is sort of off here by itself, but our tech stocks are affected negatively by our PC2 or our factor 2, and you can see the gold stocks over here are affected more positively and to the right for factors PC1. Okay, so hopefully this made sense. I know I ran through it pretty quickly, but the framework here is to help you isolate market factors for each stock, and you can again see the relationships between stocks based on those market factors. If you take a look at our timeline up here, we're going from 2020 all the way to 2023. Now that's a big timeline, but originally when I think this code base was written in PyQuant News, I think what he was trying to get at is the reason gold stocks had higher returns for a certain factor was because at around this time or between the date range, the COVID-19 was going on. So for instance, during a lot of market headwinds changing, you can perform this PCA analysis on your portfolio to determine what factors, or to actually quantify the factors of the market wins. Yeah, I thought I'd just quickly go through this since I had the notebook. Definitely go check out PyQuant News, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, please consider subscribing or watching another video. I really appreciate it. Bye.